All right, there is a very good sentence written by a black woman named Kay Lindsay in which she said, where the white woman is the sexual object, black women are sexual laborers. Yes. White womanhood has been the prevailing standard of femininity in this country. If you were beautiful, you had pale skin. And women have only gained by being beautiful. You had light skin, preferably light hair. You were gentle, you were retiring, you were sweet, you were chaste. Because of our historical position as black women, most of us were slaves, which means we worked as hard as any men on plantations. Then we moved into factories. Most of us were not pure because on plantations we were bought to be breeders and whores. We were not qualified for the prevailing standards of femininity, white femininity, so we were cast out. If you are a woman who does not fit women's standards, you're a piece of crap. So we got none of the benefits of being a woman. They're double-edged benefits, but they are benefits. Money from wealthy men, so on and so forth. We got all of the liabilities. As I said before, we are on the lowest rung, even in a profession like prostitution, because we are valueless as black women. So we were brought up outside the pale of femininity, but we weren't considered worth turning into useful men. You know, because what is a black woman? She's a woman and she is also black. We weren't as good as black men, and we were useless. We weren't good enough to be imitated white women, so we had nothing. We were total outsiders, which is why, you know, economically we are on the absolute bottom, and psychologically, if you will, of the barrel. As I say, figuring out a theory that will embrace the paradox of fighting the sexism of a group of people who are fighting racial and economic oppression from another group. It's a very interesting pyramid. It is black women being oppressed by white women who are also black women being oppressed by white women, black men, and white men. That is a situation that only non-white, if you will, black, Latin, so forth, Chinese women find themselves in. It is the kind of complexity that the white feminist movement has not yet in any way attempted to deal with.
This comes from the negromanosphere.com and is written by Ron Wells. The best way to get a black woman. And I'm not going to read the whole article. You can actually go there and check it out for yourself. It's actually funny, but it actually has very, very good insights. And it's going to go along with the video that I just put up talking about the myth of white womanhood and Margot Jefferson, giving her take on white womanhood. I was in my local grocery store one day. I saw this fine ass sister in a working thought uniform. She was a nurse. Her weave was tight. Her ass was so fat you could sit your bread on it. I tried to catch her eye, and she looked right past the brother. I'm thinking, damn, I just had the barber bless me with a fade. I just shook my head and got some steamed shrimp because the brother wanted some shrimp. Scrimp. I went to the self-checkout line because my grocery store didn't like paying checkout clerks. One of my buddies was working there ready to fix the machines when they broke, which was quite often. She's a white MILF, and we're cool, so she was very touchy with me. That fat booty sister was there as well. I peeped that all of a sudden she was staring at me like I ate the last biscuit. I made a show of hugging my buddy and went home to eat my scrimp. That sister staring at me like that didn't surprise me. For as long as I can remember, many black women wouldn't pay attention to a black man until they saw him with a white woman. I would be on dates with black women and they would see a brother with a white woman and get mad. First, I would remind them that they were with me, and then I would ask if they would pay attention to the brother if he was by himself. The answer was always no. Black women are funny to me. They find creative ways to ignore a black man, but as soon as they see him with a white woman, they think they are in love. A smart woman should take advantage of this, not get a black man, but to make money. I can see some white woman offering to pretend to be a black man's girlfriend so he can get a black woman to pay attention to him. For this to work, she has to be a white woman. She can't be one of those white women that with a fat ass. The brother might all of a sudden develop a taste for vanilla. She also can't be one of those black acting white women. Sisters don't seem to have a problem with those type of white women getting a brother. There's at least one in every hood. No, it has to be one of those yoga pants wearing blonde hair and coffee shop type of white women that will run 5 miles during a snowstorm. Those are the ones the sisters notice. A brother needs to have her on his arm at just a few spots where sisters can see him and then go back to those spots without the white woman. The brother will have more black women than he knows what to do with. The bad part of this is that you know I'm right. And that's from Ron Wills and the Negro's Manosphere. And the title of it is The Best Way to Get a Black Woman. Those two pieces of information that I just posted, what does that inform you of? Now, I was on Donovan Sharp's Hangout last Friday. And Donovan Sharp always talks about game and how that women have something what they call a pre-selection of men. And to briefly say what pre-selection is that even before a woman actually evaluates you, she looks at your status. Now, your status could be something like you have money, or your status could be that you're the leader of the pack. But also pre-selection includes what kind of woman or a group of women that are in your company or on your arm. So in other words, to give you a brief example, if you're in a bar or a club and there's a lot of 5, 6, and 7s at this club that you regularly go to, if you show up with a woman that's an 8, 9, or 10, that's of a higher value or a higher status than the women in the rest of the crowd, you become pre-selected. In other words, some woman of a higher value has already deemed you as worthy of a higher quality woman. And it doesn't matter if that woman is your fuck buddy, your wife, your girlfriend, or just a woman that has friends on you. So a lot of PUAs actually use a 9 or a 10 as a wingman, because just being in the company of a woman that most men or even most women deemed as beautiful or unusually beautiful pre-selects you or kicks in the pre-selection hamster. Now, what does that have to do with what Margot Jefferson said and what Ron Wills just read to us? If a decent looking white woman is on your arm or in your company, that automatically gives you, as a black man, who most black women deem as beneath them, pre-selection. In other words, a woman that black woman deems as higher value or the ideal has selected you as worthy of her company. So since black women deem you as lower than them, they get upset, leap over me, and get a woman of who I deem as higher value than I am. Because you are with the ideal woman in her eyes, and she does not have the same access to what they call femininity or white femininity that white woman has. And also you have access to white femininity that black women do not. So that makes the black woman feel valueless. As Margot Jefferson said, that kicks in their already feeling of valuelessness, because they are neither a good enough to be a workhorse or a slave or a plow horse like black men are, nor are they good enough in white man's eyes or in the white society's eyes to be a feminine woman or a complete woman. So when they put those two things together, a white man and a black man, that makes them feel valueless and it pisses them off. That's how come, like when Ron Will said, when he's out on a date and a black man comes in with a white woman, that sister gets angry because it taps into her subconscious insecurities about herself and her place in society, because that black man has leapt over her and into a valued position that she cannot obtain. That's also the reason why they cheer when a black woman gets the top prize, which is a white man, because in their eyes, a white man is at the top of the food chain. They have captured the oppressor. So it doesn't matter whether that white man marries them or is that white man is wealthy. The thing is that that white man completes their idea of femininity. It proves to society that black women can be feminine because that white man has deemed them as good as white women. The myth of white womanhood has portrayed by white men is that white women are a delicate flower. They cannot be touched, doesn't have to work hard, doesn't have to sweat in her brow. All she needs to do is do what? Be a lady of leisure, sit back and stay at home with the children in her nice, pristine house with her nice, well-behaved and well-mannered and well-dressed children taken care of by her successful white man. And women that have worked on plantations, or the mothers, the black mothers that have worked in Miss Ann's house, has always been jealous of Miss Ann, which is why over the generations, black women have told their daughters to go to school, get their education so they can be more like Miss Ann and not have to clean up behind Miss Ann and her children. And don't worry about that black man, because that black man cannot do what? Because he is in an inferior position. He cannot elevate you to womanhood. In a black woman's eyes, the only person that can elevate a black woman to womanhood, to femininity, is a white man, because he's the one in charge. And only until black men defeat white men and take over the system can a black man be worthy enough in a black woman's eyes to be her mate, because then he will be able to elevate her into what she believes as womanhood. Now, on a side note, black men, for the most part, do not see themselves as inferior to white men. And for the most part, black men do not see white women as superior, even though they may be dangerous and maybe that forbidden fruit, because white society deems the white woman as off limits. But he doesn't see that white woman as any better or worse, for the most part, than any other woman. So it doesn't bother a black man, for the most part, to see a black woman with a white man. In fact, most black men just like, okay, she likes white men, and they'll keep moving. But a black woman with a white man loves to lord that white man, or the access to white men, over the rest of the black population. In fact, there's a lot of times on my channel, especially, and until I block them, black women will come in, and no matter what they look like or what that white man looks like, they will brag that they have not a white husband, but a white boyfriend. And they will try to lord it over black men like we're supposed to believe that they are superior to us because they have access to a white man. So you see how this plays out? Even Margot Jefferson, as she described the worth of black women in the pecking order of society, discounts how black men see black women. She only described their status in terms of how white men see value in black women and other women. So it's no wonder that you see shows like Scandal and other kind of shows where black women interact with white men, that they're so popular with black women. because they feel at last, my womanhood, my femininity has been recognized, which is something deep, deeply psychological in a black woman's psyche. And a lot of times black men beat themselves up trying to figure it out. And a lot of times black women get mad because of what white society is actually portraying. And they don't say that we should look at them any differently. What they say is we need to go out and defeat that white man so we can actually die and give them what they desire, which is to be elevated to the womanhood that they feel that white women have. Just a thought. It's an insight that kind of grabbed me when I read Ron Will's piece. It's a thought that entered my head. I don't know why it triggered, because I've seen this over and over and over again. But I had just been looking at Margot Jefferson's video, even though it was shot back in the 70s, and reading Rom's piece that kind of aligned with it. And then something Donovan Sharp says, all those three things came together. And I said, of course. Now it all makes sense. Now, I could be off about this. My opinion could be wrong, but this is how I see it. So with that, you brothers have at it in the comment section. All you pimps and players out there, weigh in, because I want to see what you think. You brothers, SYSBM, that date out, especially if you date Caucasian females, see if this is something that you have noticed. But as always, this is BGS out.